Okay.
Not online.
All right.
You're tuned into Rolling on the Road Special Edition with Dr. Kimberly Barrington. Take it away.
Good afternoon. You are tuned into Rolling on the Road. I know that you are noticing the new color scheme. Yes, we are now live with our PPTV. I believe that we talked about this before. I want to call you Dr. Kathy Harris. It just seems just right.
Well, it sounds good. I appreciate it.
I just Dr. Kathy Harris, who is with the Proactive Project. And you guys, we've been together for the last couple of years. This is our time of the year. It is Get Out the Vote. Y'all know what time it is. It is the midterm election for the state of Michigan. And this time, every single office is open for our administration.
Yes.
It's all,
I
it's
want to
all.
say that again. This is important.
So you guys need to understand. We're talking about the governor, the lieutenant governor, our attorney general, as well as our secretary of state. That is our governing body for the state of Michigan. So it's imperative that you get out and you vote. Because you can't sit back and say, well, I don't like, you know what? I got to ask this question. This was on my mind since last night.
Okay.
I know they tell you this as a candidate. So when I ran, and they give you the 411 about everything, they always tell you make sure that you vote for yourself, because usually if you lose, it's by one vote and it's because you didn't vote for yourself. And I'm like, yeah, right. But by the time you get done campaigning, for all those months, you're just like, I don't feel like going to the polls, but you know that you have to. Now, is that a standard across the board? I know they say that to us to make sure that we, get out and vote. But, however, when our person loses, is it usually because of the number of folks who didn't vote?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we stayed at home. The
Hmm.
last election, 90 million people stayed at home.
Really?
And if
90 million in
possibly
what's
90 million people. And
this is
because of the
2026. So that was 2024.
2026, 2024.
That was
And
our
because,
presidential election. That's why. Hmm.
yes, but because of the state of affairs today, whether we like it or we don't, it's because people stayed at home. And the only way we can make any changes, that we can voice our opinions, that we can say what we want to say, is that we get to the polls and vote. Now, you may vote, it may not be what you want, but at least you have a right to voice your opinion. At least at this point, I can have a conversation with you if you voted. But if you didn't vote, I'm not wasting my time talking to you about something because you had an opportunity. So we have to get out and vote. It's imperative that our people, especially, that we make it to the polls. And yes, if that one vote could make a difference. There was an election in 24 where the person lost by 4 votes.
Really?
4 votes. That was a local election. You know, it doesn't sound like it could make a huge difference, but it does. Even when you hear the numbers of 500 people, 5,000 people, that's still a community. That means a whole community may have stayed at home, or a whole block of people stayed at home. We've got to get our people out, and we have to vote, vote, vote.
Well, I'm gonna go there, and I'm not. We don't have to name names.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I'm hearing out in the streets is that in certain districts we have two Democrats that we both like,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're divided as a community. Who do we vote for? So, and if we say we won't vote for anybody, guess what happens? The Republican wins that district.
Exactly.
How do we reconcile that when we have two people that we do like? We think that each one of them offers something to our community, um, and we don't know which one to vote for. And we
I
don't want to
would.
be disloyal because we know each one and we like them. And I think that's what's going to happen in a few of our districts where we have people that we like. And it's like, well, I'm not going to vote because I don't want to have to choose between one or the other.
I think one of the most important things that I always talk to people about and tell them is that you have to hold the candidates accountable. You have to hold the elected officials accountable. You have to have conversations with them. You need to talk to them. So if you got two people in the district that you like both of them, talk to both of them. Ask those hard questions. Set your friendship aside, set your relationships, your family relationships or ties aside, and talk to them about what's really important to you. So, for example, if education is huge to me, and I see these young people nowadays, and I don't know what happened, but that's huge. So, if I were in this situation, I want to talk to both parties. What are you going to do about the education system? Just have that conversation and then make your decision. But if I'm not registered to vote and I don't plan on voting, why have a conversation? Because it doesn't matter. And then I'll be mad after the election is over and I got the other person in that I didn't talk to and they're not doing anything because it didn't matter to them and don't matter to you. So what are we going to say? How are we going to have that conversation? So I'm saying again, talk to them, ask those hard questions, set the friendship, the relationships aside. They're candidates at this point, not friends. We're candidates.
I want to say good afternoon to Dr. V. She is tuned in from Detroit. Thank you. Detroit is in the house
All right.
on this afternoon. I think that's in a lot of our districts, we don't feel that we have good candidates to choose from. And so what I've been hearing people say is that I'm not voting at all because I don't like anybody. And my response is, you don't need to like them. Is there something about them that resonates with you?
Mm-hmm.
What's important to you?
And it's not a time to look at the personalities and say, I don't like that person. Because at the end of the day, you're going to miss out on the opportunity to vote, number one. And then another person's going to get in that you don't like. And then you're really going to be mad. And who can you be mad at again? You can't be mad at anyone but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it this way, but if you got two bad people, in your opinion, throw both of them name up in there and see which one hit the ground first. Somebody gonna be in that spot, that seat. Somebody have to represent that district or that city or that area, that district. So we have to again have a conversation with them, and we may not like them in the beginning. It's what is this? Almost August. We have to November. Between now and November, get as much information as you can about that person, that candidate, that district. Find out what they have done, what they're planning on doing, what their platform is, and find out what they're going to do, and then make that decision.
Well, one of the things that, so Dr. V says, that's a great point. Hard question need to be asked. And she says, education, housing, mental health are her top priorities. So that means that you need to ask the candidate, whether they're Republican or Democrat, after the primary, then you need to keep those at the forefront and ask them, now, where do you stand on each one of those issues? If they've held office, then you need to go look at their voting record. You need to see, what bills have they been a part of, whether they were able to initiate it themselves or did they support someone else in their bill. And if they are not have been in office, what have they been doing prior to? Where have they volunteered? Do they have some sort of position that puts them, in a great light that they haven't had an opportunity to lead, but that they're capable? So those are some things that you really need to think about.
And those topics are topics that's important to a lot of people. So if they're important to you, you better believe there's somebody else out there that want to ask that same question or want to have that same conversation. Housing, mental illness, education, food. I mean, there's so many topics that we have around the community that are similar. They have to have some information for us. They have to have done something, even if it's as a community advocate. You should have done something to help with those different areas where you can come back and talk about it as a candidate. If I'm help educating the community as an advocate, I want to educate the community as a candidate. Let's talk about that. Those that have been in office, you can go back and look at their voting records. Look at their history. But please try to get as much information between now and November about every candidate that you can. Don't just not vote, stay at home because you're mad. That's not helping the situation at all.
Well, what we're committed here with Rolling on the Road Special Edition and PPTV is to really highlight that. And 100 Shades is even changing some of their mission. I mean, we lead out with, you know, legislation first, legislation, advocacy as our mission statement. But these next 2 to 4 years, we're really going to dig in. We're going to interview as many candidates as are able to come on here between now and November, so that you can see them as a person, and then see them where they stand on their platform. And then the other piece is, once they are in, at least once a quarter, hey, I need you to come back. Let's see what you've been doing. Let's have that conversation. So as 100 Shades, as PPTV, as Rolling on the Road Special Edition, we are going to stay boots on the ground, or for me, wheels on the ground, because this is a pivotal time for us. We're in a midterm, and then we're going right into the presidential election. They're going to start next year campaigning for the presidential election. So you need to really start paying attention. We don't have, I don't think at this time, maybe the best front runners as far as Democrats. But if the Republicans are talking about something that resonates with you, I would have to say you're not being disloyal. You're being loyal to what's important to you. So that's something, to think about, that if the other side is saying something that resonates more with you, then that's what you have to do. If Democrats are sounding good, then you vote for them. But at the end of the day, you have to vote.
You have to vote.
Period.
My organization is a nonpartisan organization, but I always tell people we may be nonpartisan, but we're particular. And I'm not going to waste my time going out and putting information out in the community for those that are. We don't endorse candidates either. Let me be clear. But if you are not doing anything that will help my community, if it's not going to be beneficial to my family, my community, I don't have much to say and do for you. As a personal, from me personally, because I have to think about that while I'm doing my work in the nonpartisan area. I'm still thinking about the people that's out there that we're putting this information out, getting out the vote. What are they going to do for us? What are they going to do for the Black community? And that's an important question, because a lot of them come around. It's their time. 11th hour, here they come. They want to talk to us. We as Black people need to really, really be holding them accountable for our community. What are you going to do for us? And talk about it. We don't do that enough. And then a lot of them know that we'll put pressure on them right now, and then they won't hear from us for another couple of years. We don't come back and ask the questions. As you said, you're going to come back around and bring them back into the camera. Do that, because they need to be held accountable. Don't come smiling in my face right now because you want my vote, but you can't do anything for my people, my community, my family. I don't have much to say. I don't have much to say for you or to help other people, help you get on the ballot. You have to do something for me. You have to be there and be held accountable. And that's when I say, well, I'm very particular about where my vote goes.
Absolutely. The time is now 52 minutes after the hour. It is 3:52. And I want to encourage everybody, we are changing our platform, and because we're going to stay engaged. So we're not going to have a set 4:00 anymore on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You're going to have to subscribe, like, and follow, and stay with us. And always know that you can go over to our channel, PPTV, because we're going to meet. If a candidate says they can see me at 10 o'clock on Monday, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go where they are. If they're on the road and they say, hey, it's Thursday and we can do, 2:15, and I can get 20, 25 minutes out of them, then that's what we're going to do. But you got to stay tuned in and know that every day it's wheels on the ground, staying in their face, because I have been pursued, by candidates. I represent a group that people don't even realize how large it is, and the spending money that they have. And that's something that I am going to, from this day forward, going to really educate everybody. Do you know that in Michigan, those persons with disabilities have $1.2 billion worth of discretionary income?
Mm.
Money is power. Money is it votes. You have to get out there. They only talk about the disability community as it relates to the ADA. Okay, it's more than the ADA. It's more than I need a ramp or I need this, room to be accessible for me. It's more than that. From the ages of 16 to 64, that is the number that they pull from, and they pulled all their money and said this is what they bring to the table, and I represent that group. I'm a woman. Women, there are 10 million people in the state of Michigan. There are 511 million women in this state. That's more than half, just by a smidge. But that means every woman needs to get out and vote. That means that you have power. If there's more of us, then we need to be out voting. There's
So,
over 450,000 veterans. I'm a veteran. I represent veterans. So you add that 500 and you add that 4, take out, the numbers are going to kind of overlap, because if I'm Black, I'm a woman, I'm veteran, I'm an entrepreneur, and a person with a disability. That's a lot of communities to represent.
so when you're trying to make a decision of voting, to add to what you're just saying, that's powerful. We need to be thinking about how they're trying to take things away from us, how they're trying to change the rights that we do have. Just think of 5 million women went out to vote. That can make a huge difference when you have
Absolutely.
other people trying to tell you what you can and cannot do with your body, when they totally disrespect the veterans. I mean, these are things you need to think about when making a decision of how you want to vote. Who's doing these things? Who's standing up for the veterans? Who's standing up for the young people?
Mm-hmm.
Who's standing up for the mental illness? Who's standing up for the reproductive freedom? I mean, these things are, when I say about being particular, these are things that we need to look at, think about when we're making that decision, because those numbers are powerful.
They are.
Yeah.
When I looked at, when I said, why is this candidate coming to me? Why is this candidate? I'm looking at everyone that's saying, can I count on you? I want you to be a part. I want you to vote for me. And I'm not talking about the regular, everybody gets something, will you vote for me? I'm talking about being invited to the table. And I'm like, okay. And when I looked at all the groups, I said, okay, that I represent, and the impact and the fact that, I've run for office before. One of the things that I have been really grateful for, that when I ran, I was the only person of color with a visible disability that has ever led out the Democratic Party rally during a major election. Stabenow was there, Peters was there, the governor, the lieutenant governor, and Winnie Brinks was there. And I got to lead everybody out. I was the first one to come out to speak.
Oh, that's huge. It's important.
So I have a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I appreciate, and you have to understand, and I say this to the person, even if you do not win the seat, you still have the power and the influence. What I appreciated, that even though when they did the redistricting, they put me, I was in Allegan, Berry, and Cutlerville. That is all Republican. All Republican.
And you
We
stood
only,
among all those Republicans.
and the Democrats were less than 3% in my district. Less than 3%.
How did that make you feel?
number one, honored because the Kent County Democratic Party came and asked me to run.
Okay.
Yep. I did
Okay.
not choose it. I would have, had it stayed in the old district, it was, oh yeah, I would have probably on my own. But when they came back and they said, we need to talk to you, but we got to wait till after the meeting. So they were, calling me and saying, hey, we need you to stay on, stay ready. I'm like, for what? We need to talk to you, but we're waiting for them to finish with the redistricting. And I said, okay. And so I want to say a few hours after everything went through and they knew it for sure, they met with me. And they looked at me and said, you're not going to win the seat. I was like, true. When I looked at the district, I was like, y'all got jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, but we don't have a Democratic Party and we need somebody in there that they can follow so that we can, create a Democratic club and parties within those districts.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. And I looked at some of the work that I had already done and I said, that's fine. Because one of the things, well, they gave me 3 things that they thought would make me say yes. And I said, I have those 3 things already, so I don't need that. I'm going to do it because I don't know anybody else that would be able to resonate with the people the same way. Not when I looked at who ran before
Mm-hmm.
in that area.
Oh.
But it was dangerous. I'm not going to tell no lie. Had death threats. Many were afraid to even put a sign, so you didn't see any Democratic signs up in the area. I participated in a parade in Allegan County and in Berry County, and they had me well insulated. I'll just say that. They had me well insulated.
Wow. But it only made you stronger and come back with a vengeance. Because when they do things like that, it's a way to keep you out, to keep us quiet, to tuck us away, to keep us out of the way so they can do what they want to do anyway. But now they know you're there.
Well, the piece that I appreciated the most is what I had on my platform, it went through anyway. Okay. So I didn't get the seat, but I got the power and the influence.
See?
Because one of my big things that was important to me was some referendum on how the veterans were the tax privilege that they're supposed to have. But what happens is it didn't stay with the family. So when the veteran would die, now the wife is left with having to start paying taxes that she's never had to pay taxes on the home, and they end up losing the home. The children get the home and they say, okay, well, we want to keep it in the family. Someone moves in, they use it as their homestead, and then they lose it because, of course, the taxes the tax exempt did not transfer over to them. And then the other piece is they ask us to come in every single year to fill out the form. And if you don't fill out the form that year, you're going to have to pay those taxes. That shouldn't happen to a vet, especially if it shouldn't be that way. So when it happened to me, it was during COVID. And because I had underlying health issues, I appreciated the team here in Byron Center. What they did is that they preemptively said, oh, she's tax exempt. She's been in this community for 4 years. Nothing's changed. We can go ahead and put tax exempt. And they put the file away. They had a new assessor. He said, I did not get to vote on it during the meeting. They said, sir, you don't have to. It's a Michigan right for her. Yeah, but it says on here that it can be brought up on an agenda. It wasn't on the agenda. And so I'm sending this in. She didn't pay her taxes. By the time everything circled back around, it had already gone to downtown to the assessor's office. They sent out the notice. It went to my mortgage company. My mortgage company paid my taxes for me. So now I had to pay that back. That was my, I want to say my summer taxes. They were over $5,000.
Okay.
Everybody can't afford to pay that back. So that means I'm making my house note on top of having to pay taxes now.
Great.
And paying the mortgage company back. So what I did, he says to me, if you can find where you received the letter saying that you were exempt from our office, I said, I have that. I brought it to him. He goes, well, I want to see the VA form that you filled out. And I said, I didn't. I said, your office preemptively, I said, exempt me because I have been for the last 4 years. And he says, well, nope. And he bullied the rest of the board members. And they're like, well, he's in charge. So, I mean, we all say, let it go. She's been here for 4 years. And
Crazy.
And mind you, this is during the time when they were still waiting for the final numbers to come through for the redistricting. And when they told me the numbers and that, I would be in this area, I went right back up there and I said to them, I said, you know what? I said, I'm running for office. I said, I wasn't going to do it. And I said, but I'm going to run for office. And that's the first thing that I'm going to change is that you will no longer have the power to do it just because you didn't get the vote.
Good.
And that's why I ran for office, is because it hit my pocket. And I thank God I could afford to pay the extra money to pay those taxes back. But I said, I guarantee you, if you did it to me, first of all, I felt like because I was a woman and I was Black, that you could just do that to me.
And you wouldn't say anything about it.
That I was just going to cower down because a white man said, I didn't vote on it, so you don't get to have it. Oh no, sir, you don't get to tell me what I don't have. And it is written, it's a law here for the state of Michigan that says I'm entitled to it.
Yep.
You don't get to determine, you don't get to interpret the law, not for me, when I know the law. So I said, okay, I wasn't gonna run. And when that happened, I said, I'm running for office. Did I get the seat? No. Did I get that change? Absolutely, I did.
See?
Yes, I did. There was because every office was up during that time, during that midterm election. The governor came and she met with the veterans. And of course, because I was running for office, I got to have the first question on the floor, and or the question and or statement. So I said, I am running for the 79th House District. And I said, one of the things I said that I'm going for right now, I said, is that it needs to be that veterans do not have to come every single year. I think they need to do it every 3 to 5 years to show their tax exempt status and let everybody know that they didn't die. And I said, but I think it needs to be 3 to 5 years versus every single year. And I believe that the family, if they stay in the homestead, especially the wife, and if the children are going to stay in that homestead, they should be tax exempt too, because that veteran worked to purchase that home for their family, not for it to be taken away just because they died. And so she looked at Zanetta Adams, who was our NVAA at the time, Michigan Veterans, Administrative Agency Director. And she says, is what Dr. Barrington's saying true? She said, yes, ma'am, it's true. She said, well, we're going to work on that. We'll get that fixed. How about?
Look at us now.
I got a phone call 9 months later saying, we took care of it. Meet us downtown. I get down there. This is emotional right here.
But thank God you did it.
To stand there among all the elected officials for Kent County. This little Black girl in a wheelchair.
You did it.
And so there's this wonderful picture of us, and she gave it to me to hold for them to do all the press photos. She said, "You work for this. You deserve it."
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and these are the things that I don't tell. I never published it. Most people, they publish everything. I never did. It's the fact that it got done.
Done.
It got done.
God made it happen, and
It
you
got
have to be that
done.
person. So thank you, Dr. Barrington, for making that happen.
So I appreciate the fact that once it went through, I was so excited. They remodeled the our township here, Byron Township office. They have it now in there that when you roll in, look, I say roll in, they have a counter that I can roll up to instead of him looking down on me. That was the other thing that really bothered me, is the fact that he was looking down on me. And I talked to them about this needs to be more accessible. I said, you need a space where I can just roll up, and whatever business I need to take care of, I should be able to do it.
Yep.
And when I came back a couple years ago and had the document in my hand, had my picture where I signed for the last time, but I don't have to do it again. They know.
Yep.
And everybody in there said, we're sorry, but we're glad that you did this, because this is wonderful. And look what you did for everybody. You took a
That's
situation
right.
that was bad for you, and you fought for everyone. And I said, well, that's the way it's supposed to be.
And that's a good example for it. Took one person.
That's what it's
One
supposed to be.
person, one vote, one voice. And you started that. Congratulations.
And change something for the whole state, for every single veteran and their family. And what if I had to let him, the way he was talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's why it's important to vote, because it don't take but just that one.
Just that one.
I call it that righteous indignation. You just, it has to be that thing. And for me to make that change for veterans and their families, that was a no-brainer.
And you weren't even thinking about it being one person or one vote, one voice at that time. Your goal was your mission, and you were looking for the end of that mission, reaching your goal, but not thinking about being one person and being that only person. We have to do a lot of times, we have to do a lot of things that we don't do because it makes us look good, because it's just for me. It's all about me. We always step out. If you're doing the right thing, you're stepping out for other people as well. You may not realize it, but you're doing the work to get it done, and look at what you did for the entire state of Michigan.
And it wasn't that I even thought in that way about, it was about me. It was the fact that I never want this to happen to another person.
Right.
I can afford to pay that. They probably can't, and they would have lost their home. That was my thought. And everybody should be treated with dignity and respect.
Everybody.
Dignity and respect. And it's like, you will not have that opportunity to do that. I can show you better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you.
Awesome.
But I appreciate, the administration for listening and saying, okay, this makes sense. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't have to sit in the seat. You have to stay connected. You need to be connected to a Kathi Harris. Because if you come to Kathi Harris, I'm just saying, I'm sorry, excuse me, y'all. That's Dr. Harris to y'all. Okay. I can call her Kathi, but y'all need to call her Dr. K.
I'm still Kathi, everybody.
Dr. Harris. That's Dr. Harris right there. That everybody has something that has upset them, that you can look and see, is there legislation behind this? Is there something that I can do? Is it? Absolutely.
Is that something I can do? That's important, because when I started doing this work, it was because there were so many people that wanted to get involved, particularly in the lower income community,
Mm-hmm.
but didn't want to step out, or they were still focused on one party or the other. And I said back in 2004, something else has to be done. We have to include everybody in this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that I wanted to do, was to bring everybody together. And from that point up until now, we have been doing that. And I tell them when they come in to work for me, I don't care what party you're affiliated with. If you come in with the right mindset, you're coming in here to work,
Right.
right? So
Right.
we need volunteers, we need food bankers, canvassers, whatever it is. You coming in here to work, to get the word out in every community, every corner of the city that we can. It's not about being one party or the other. It's about getting your brother, sister, your neighborhood to the polls so that they can exercise their right to vote. And that was something that was huge, but nobody wanted to take on that challenge. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've been doing it, and I have a great group of volunteers that work along with me, and they come, they go, different organizations that just work with us, but we get out the vote. In 2024, we reached over 300,000. We made over 300,000 phone calls and over 92,000 doors. And now that is just in Grand Rapids, Kentwood, and Wyoming. So this year I've reached out a little bit to Muskegon and Muskegon Heights. So we are doing the work in Grand Rapids, Kentwood, Wyoming, Muskegon, and Muskegon Heights, knocking on doors, putting out literature, making phone calls, getting people out, because we have to get out the vote.
Wow. Wait a minute. I got something for you. I got something for you right here. Here we go. Y'all put y'all hands together.
Thank you. But I did not do it alone. I have a great group of volunteers that said, what do you want me to do? Where do you need me? What phone calls can I make? Putting out literature. I got a group of young people. And that's the other thing, getting young people involved. A lot of them, they didn't understand the process before they started working with me. I have a group of underserved, under-resourced young people that they're doing amazing work. I love working with them. They like coming in here. We work together as a family. They get out every day, putting out literature, over 500 pieces a day. And they're just doing it. But it's also teaching them the responsibility, teaching them about the government, teaching them how important it is of what they're doing, getting them their input on some of the things that we're doing. But we want to bring them to the table as well, because their vote is important just as well as our vote.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing that.
We got a comment about what about early voting? Early voting started on the 25th of July and it closes August 2nd.
Correct.
And then the primary voting starts on the 4th. And the polls open up, I believe, at 7 a.m. and close at 8 o'clock that night.
On election day. Now, I will say this with early voting. I received a call yesterday. Saturday was the first day, the 25th, and we've already had some problems. So if anyone has any problems with their vote at early sites, please contact the city clerk. You can call 1-800-OUR-VOTE, file a complaint. You can reach out to me. You can share my contact information.
Hold. I'm not sure who this is, but I'm putting you out here on Front Street. This is not kind, and this is not how I run my platform. So if this is how you're going to be, I'm asking you kindly to leave. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. So I'm just simply saying that if you have encountered any problems at the polling sites, please reach out to the elected officials, the chairperson of that particular polling site, the early voting site, 1-800-OUR-VOTE. You can share my contact information if you want to. But a person went to the polls and she had an absentee ballot that she received in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
She lost it. She went to the early voting site and they told her they could not give her another one. They could not do anything for her. Therefore, she could not vote. And that was not handled properly. I contacted the clerk for her yesterday. We have an election protection team. They got involved with it as well. And she was able to vote today. They reached out to her and said, you go back to that site and this is what you need to do. So you have a right to vote. Whether you have your absentee ballot or not, there's always ways, there's a process. If you have an absentee ballot, I suggest that you use the drop boxes in your neighborhoods. Every precinct should have a drop box. Now, if you're in Grand Rapids, you have 10. But use the drop boxes versus putting it in the postal mail, which is another, right now, everybody's kind of nervous about putting it in the mail. Using the postal service. You can do that, but I suggest you do it early so that it won't, well, right now it's not, I would suggest you not even do it at this point. Take it to a drop box. Drop boxes will be collected all the way up through the end of the day on Tuesday, 8 p.m. So we need to get them in those boxes. If you put it in the mail now, it may not get to where it needs to be in the right amount of time. It has to be postmarked by Tuesday, the 4th.
We have a comment. We have Shayna Thomas, who's watching from Bel Air, Maryland. And she said that's the educating the future is important. You said you had some young people. So she was commending you on that and the fact that you have a helpful team.
Thank you. It's important that we include our young people. We hear all the time, from them. It doesn't matter to me. They figure because they're young, this voting thing, what is that all about? It doesn't have anything to do with me, but it does. It has everything to do with you because things that are happening right now will affect them a few years down the road.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they need to be in the process. And it's another thing for us to listen to them, get their input. Why do you feel that it's not important to you? And just get them to talking about it.
Well, I think we're supposed to have a group come on tomorrow. Hopefully they will be here of young folks talking about the voting process.
Okay.
And I need to check with my guests. I think they're all set. And that's going to be early, though. It's going to be at 10:30 in the morning because that's when I can catch them. So again, you guys are going to have to like, share, subscribe, and I'll, put the shows back over on all the different platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're YouTube. We have 4 pages on Facebook, and stay connected.
Okay.
Stay connected.
Okay.
Because this is definitely we got a primary. They only have 24 months, and actually in about 18, people are going to start announcing their candidacy for president and president and vice president. And that means a whole new cabinet is going to get selected. And we need to make sure that we stay rooted and grounded in this because we can't say it's everybody else anymore.
I would like to add that we in Michigan can pre-register voters, pre-register young people at 16 years old.
Okay.
Between now to they're 16, between the time they turn now and the time they turn 18, they will be in the Secretary of State's office on the rolls so that when they turn 18, they will automatically get their voter registration card. But this is a way to get them involved in the process.
We're going to have to make sure that we have that information out.
Okay.
And we'll post that and start letting everybody know.
They can also work for their clerk's office at 16 years old. So they can apply for a job.
She gave some good info right there.
Yes.
The time is now 22 minutes after the hour. It is 4:22. I want to say thank you for coming on today. I appreciate you and all that you do. Do you have a number that people can reach you at?
Yes. Our number is 616-558-5666.
Okay, wait a minute. 616. I didn't write that down.
558
558
5666.
All righty. And this is Dr. Kathi Harris, KATHIHARRIS, with the Proactive Project, PROJECT. All right, let's hit Send. Boom.
All right.
And
Thank
then,
you so much for having me.
okay, watch this. We're going to put it up on the screen. There you guys go.
All right.
So you can reach out. There's the number. And when you share this video, like, share, subscribe, the number will be on the screen in case you can't remember. And guess what? You can Google her. And I'm telling you, it'll say she's prominent. That's the first word they used to describe her, is prominent.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Hmm. So you guys make sure, say the number again, 616.
558-5666. And you can also find us on Facebook.
You guys reach out. Reach
Yes.
out. Please reach out, volunteer, get involved, attend meetings, and bring your teens out. Bring those
Yes.
16-years out so
Get
that
those
they
young
can
people.
go ahead and get registered now. I will never ever forget. I was just talking to a friend about this, that when I was 17 when I joined the Navy, and I turned 18 that July, and I left on my 18th birthday, and it was a presidential election year then in 1984, and Reverend Jesse Jackson was running for president. I still have the hat to this day. Run, Jesse, run is
All
what the hat.
right.
I still had it hat to this day.
Wow.
That was a monumental moment, that I was, number one, serving my country as a woman, as a Black woman at that. And I got to vote, and I got to vote for the first Black man to run for president. So I'm like, yes.
Wow. Awesome. It's a good feeling. Yes.
So I'm telling y'all, you will love it. You will love it. You will love it, that you get to actually make a difference. And when your person gets in office, you can say, I did that. I held. What they say, it's shake and bake, and I held.
And if your person doesn't get in office, you can still say I voted.
That's right.
I tried to make a difference. I did my part. That's important. Do your part.
And the other thing, that even if your person doesn't, still look and see what that candidate has to offer. And is there some way that, they can resonate with you, or stay in their office and do like I did. Hey, this needs to change. We don't like this. And you get your friends together and make a change.
Write letters, make phone calls,
Trust me, it works.
It works.
It really, really works.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we want to say thank you so much. She's a busy, busy woman. We want to be mindful of her time, because, we'll talk here for a long time.
There's a lot to talk about.
And
I have to come back.
Absolutely. So we're going to have the conversation after the primaries. She's going to come back, and we're going to say, now we got to strategize.
I'm ready. Let me know.
That you guys will be able to, we're going to start pulling these candidates in so that you can get to meet them, and know if your person is not, but we'll still know what the other person's agenda is and what we need to hold them tasked to. Mm-hmm. So we thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on tomorrow.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.